The Merchant's Gift of Change, a story of growth. Once upon a time, there was a small village nestled in a valley surrounded by mountains. The people of the village lived a simple life, tending to their farms and livestock. They were content with their way of life and a little contact with the outside world. One day, a traveler arrived in the village. He was tall and wore strange clothing that the villagers had never seen before. He introduced himself as a merchant and said he was looking for a place to sell his goods. The villagers were fascinated about his stories of far off lands and exotic treasures, and they welcomed him warmly. The merchant set up his shop in the center of the village, and soon people from all around came to see his wares. The villagers were amazed by the colorful fabrics, spices, and jewelry that the merchant had to offer. They eagerly traded their crops and livestock for his goods. As the merchant's popularity grew, he began to stay in the village longer and longer. He shared his knowledge of the world with the villagers and taught them new skills such as weaving, pottery making. The villagers became more prosperous and their way of life began to change. However, not all the villagers were happy with these changes. Some felt that their traditional way of life was being threatened by the influence of the outside world. They resented the merchant and changes he had brought. One day, a group of villagers approached the merchant and demanded that he leave the village. They accused him of corrupting their way of life and destroying their culture. The merchant tried to reason with them, but they wouldn't listen. In the end, he packed up his goods and left the village. The villagers who had supported the merchant were saddened by his departure. They realized that the change was inevitable and that they couldn't keep the outside world at bay forever. They resolved to embrace new ideas and technologies while still holding onto their traditions and way of life. From that day on, the village became known as a hub of innovation and progress. The villagers learned to adapt new ideas while still holding onto their unique culture and traditions. And although the merchant never returned, his legacy lived on in the heart and minds of the villagers for generations to come.